and she ratted him out. Jon Jones did it. And then John's on the phone with the cops, and apparently, allegedly, he threatened the cops when he was on the phone, which is not good.
So much respect for Jon Jones, the GOAT of UFC. Is it fair to say he's the GOAT?
Yeah, 100%.
He is the GOAT.
I think the reality is, whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but, you know, he's 38 years old. I don't know.
After the recent altercation between Jon Jones and Team Aspinall, Joe Rogan weighed in on the situation and shared his thoughts on who should be Aspinall's next opponent. Speaking on the JRE MMA show with UFC light heavyweight Khalil Ryan, Rogan said that if it were up to him, he wouldn't book Ciryl Gane for Aspinall's title defense. Instead, he suggested a matchup with Derek Lewis, stating, "Aspinall is going to fight Gane. If I were running things, I might set up the Derek Lewis fight with Aspinall," he continued. "I might say forget Ciryl Gane for now. Just had a big knockout win. Who's more popular and beloved by fans than Derek?"
Right?
Set it up.
Yeah, you lived in that division. Lived in that division.
And I also never beat him.
Yeah.
And I had, no matter what I did going forward, it was always that, well, you never beat Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall is going to get that belt, and there's going to be a gap, right? That lineal championship breaks. That line breaks.
Yep.
When Tom goes from interim to champion.
To Rogan, Jon Jones is old news, and any talk of a potential Jones versus Aspinall matchup shouldn't even be happening. Earlier this week, UFC CEO Dana White officially confirmed that Team Aspinall will defend his interim heavyweight title against top-ranked Ciryl Gane at UFC 321 on October 25th. However, despite the announcement, Rogan believes a fight with Derek Lewis would generate far more fan interest. Currently ranked 9th in the UFC heavyweight division, Lewis recently boosted his popularity with a stunning 35-second first-round knockout over Brazilian prospect Thaleson Teixeira, further solidifying his reputation as a fan favorite.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that Thailand was the end of it. You know, we were talking about it before that, but yeah, the fight was done. We had the fight done a long time ago. So why he decided not to fight? You guys have to ask him that.
Roundtree, who appeared as a guest on Rogan's show, agreed that a matchup between Aspinall and Lewis would be thrilling. However, he emphasized that Ciryl Gane makes more business sense for the UFC due to the international appeal. Roundtree noted that using Gane aligns with the UFC's efforts in France, while Aspinall represents the UK as a British icon. With the organization expanding globally, pairing a French star with a British champion suggests the UFC is prioritizing market growth in Europe over simply matching fighters based on fan interest or ranking.
I got no ego. I don't.
Yeah. I understand you don't want to talk about it. Do you believe that maybe outside of Jon Jones, you versus Tom is probably the biggest fight in this division?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Khabib Nurmagomedov also shared his thoughts on Jon Jones and the state of the heavyweight division. Speaking to Russian interviewer Adam Zubayev, Khabib stated that he no longer believes Jones is in his prime, citing a lack of activity over the past 5 years. "Let's be honest, how many fights has he had in the last 5 years? 1 or 2, Khabib said. He pointed to Jones's recent light heavyweight performances, especially the controversial decisions against Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes, as signs of decline. Khabib added, "His prime is clearly behind him." Then he fought Ciryl Gane. "I think they just gave him the money."
I'll just come out and ask you. Do you think Tom Aspinall?
No. Jon Jones, I said it a million times, I'll say it again, he's never ducked anybody other than that one goofy time with the Chael Sonnen thing. He's never ducked anybody, and you know, I think the reality is, whatever changed his mind with this fight, I don't know, you'd have to ask him that, but you know, he's 38 years old, and I don't know.
Do you think if it was someone like Alex Pereira, he would fight them? And it's maybe Tom that he specifically doesn't fancy the matchup?
Khabib believes Team Aspinall is currently the best heavyweight in the world. He explained that a fair comparison between Aspinall and Jon Jones can only be made once both fighters have completed their careers. For Aspinall to reach Jones's level and legacy, that'll be extremely hard and very difficult, Khabib said, emphasizing that any comparisons between the two will only hold true meaning in hindsight. Meanwhile, Jon Jones has hinted at a potential return from retirement, following reports that former President Donald Trump proposed hosting a UFC event at the White House in 2026. Jones confirmed he is re-entering the UFC's anti-doping program, signaling his
will absolutely positively put on the baddest card of all time.
McGregor hasn't been in a while. I thought right when this came out, he was back in the ring. Jones, we don't know if he was serious. Is he not retired anymore? Is he back?
He jumped back in the pool, so.
Really?
Yeah.
Officially?
Yeah.
This step is mandatory for any fighter returning to competition after an extended layoff or official retirement. However, the timing of Jon Jones's return has sparked questions throughout the MMA community. especially as Tom Aspinall had just announced his upcoming fight against Cyril Gane. UFC veteran Matt Brown shared his thoughts on the matter during an episode of The Fighter vs. The Writer. While Brown insisted he doesn't believe Jones is afraid of Aspinall, he acknowledged that the optics aren't great. "I'm as big a Jon Jones fan as anybody," Brown said. "I've always defended that he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. But it's hard not to fall into that narrative here." Brown suggested that the idea of a UFC event at the White House may have inspired Jones's comeback, yet admitted it still seems as though Jones is sidestepping a direct showdown.
So
with
they've
Aspinall.
announced this White House UFC fight. Can we expect to see you on the card?
I can't promise anyone anything, but I have very strong feelings that I'll be on that card. I'll be the story.
So who would you take on? Who would be your dream opponent?
I would want to take a whoever's holding the belt of the year.
Any possible names you think?
But, I mean, as of right now, the champion is Team Aspinall. We'll see who's the champion.
Brown also criticized the logic of Jon Jones returning for any fight that isn't against Tom Aspinall. He argued that if Jones chooses to come back and fight someone else, he's actively deciding not to face Aspinall, while Brown emphasized that this decision may not stem from fear, it still carries significant consequences. Maybe he wants a lower-risk fight, an easier payday, or he doesn't want to train as hard. Whatever it is, I'm going to argue he's not afraid, he's just making choices. And he's choosing not to fight Tom Aspinall, Brown explained. He added that while UFC President Dana White might not be concerned about who Jones fights, fans absolutely will. "If you're Jon and you choose not to fight Tom Aspinall, you've got to understand how that looks," Brown said. "You've got to understand that everybody's going to say you're ducking." He concluded that, regardless of Jones's true motivations, the perception of avoidance will persist unless Jones addresses the situation with action inside the cage.
Finally wants to fight Tom Aspinall, but this time at the White House. I told you guys that Jon Jones was playing chess, not checkers, this entire time. Someone just tweeted this at Jon Jones saying, "Ducking Tom Aspinall, ? Best decision you ever made, ? Jon responded, "Choosing when to attack and where you want the battlefield to be is not ducking, my friend." I tried telling every single one of you that Jon Jones was never ducking Tom Aspinall. Very clear here that Jon Jones is playing chess.
Prior to announcing his comeback, Jon Jones had repeatedly delayed his return to the octagon following his victory over Cyril Gane. His first title defense against Stipe Miocic was originally scheduled for UFC 295 in November 2023, but was postponed due to injury. During Jones's extended absence, Tom Aspinall stepped in on short notice to face Sergey Pavlovich and captured the interim heavyweight title with a stunning knockout. That win positioned Aspinall as the new face of the heavyweight division and intensified calls for a title unification bout between him and Jones, despite growing fan demand. UFC officials never finalized a fight between the two champions. This prolonged delay, coupled with Jones's retreat into retirement, opened the door for critics to question his willingness to face the younger, faster, and more active Aspinall.
I'm as big a Jon Jones fan as anybody, and I've always defended he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. It's hard to not fall into that narrative here, though. You know, like, to me, like, fighting in the White House, like, that doesn't do it. But maybe I'm a different person, you know, maybe everybody looks at it different. For me, like, if you tell me they're going to have a fight at the White House, like, cool, all right, like, it'd be cool to do it.
Derek Lewis, now brought into the conversation by Joe Rogan, has yet to face Tom Aspinall, making the potential matchup both fresh and intriguing. Most of the other top 10 heavyweights have either already lost to Aspinall or lack the momentum. Lewis currently carries UFC veteran since 2014. Lewis has established himself as one of the organization's most reliable knockout artists. His recent 35-second demolition of Tuxera proved that, even at age 40, he still possesses devastating power. Known for his crowd-pleasing style and broad fan appeal, Lewis remains one of the most popular fighters in the division. On the other hand, Cyril Gane, though ranked number 1, has already come up short in 2 previous title fights. His highly technical fighting style, while effective, has faced criticism for lacking excitement compared to others in the division. Still, as France's premier MMA athlete, Gane plays a key role in the UFC's strategy for European expansion. Booking him against Aspinall not only sets up a major all-European main event, but also strengthens the UFC's foothold in both France and the UK.
Last thing, guys, Dana White said, the last thing Dana said was, Kyle was asking him what would be his dream card. And he said, Jones versus Aspinall, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. He thought that would be the perfect one. And the guy started talking about this, Kyle means. And Dana goes, the UFC landscape will have changed by then. We got a whole year. Hey, initially we thought
Lastly, Dana White recently shared his thoughts on what his dream UFC card would look like during a conversation with Kyle when asked about his ideal matchups. Dana said it would feature Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall and Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, calling that lineup the perfect card. As Kyle continued to talk about different possibilities, Dana responded by emphasizing how much can change in the UFC over time, saying, "The UFC landscape will have changed by then. We've preached that a whole year. What initially seemed like a casual thought may now be hinting at a potential long-term plan in the works."
That he thinks you should be careful. He thinks you should be careful what you wish for when he'll see you in Paris. How do you think you match up against Cyril?
I better be careful, apparently. Yeah. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power. And I think that's pretty undeniable at this stage of my career. I've got a lot of knockouts on my record, mate. I have to touch
Tom Aspinall has publicly expressed his desire to face any opponent who adds legitimacy to his title reign, stating that he wants to fight both Jon Jones and Cyril Gane ideally in that order. With Jones currently sidelined and Gane already booked for an October bout, Aspinall seems committed to unifying the heavyweight division one fight at a time. Notably, he remains undefeated in UFC bouts that have gone beyond the first round, with the majority of his wins coming by either knockout or submission, further solidifying his status as a dominant and well-rounded force in the division.
Well, it could be for two reasons. It's either that Jon Jones is using a strategy to have more money. You could say it. What you want to say? I think that's why he's doing it. You know, if he's doing it just to hold the title, to serve
Tom
the way.
Aspinall's resume already includes impressive wins over top contenders like Marcin Tybura, Alexander Volkov, and Sergey Pavlovich, cementing his place among the elite in the heavyweight division. Meanwhile, former boxing champion Amir Khan has weighed in on the Jon Jones debate, making it clear that he doesn't believe Jones belongs in a boxing ring. While Khan praised Jones's dominance in mixed martial arts, he firmly stated that transitioning to boxing wouldn't work in his favor. "There's no one touching him honestly, one of the best," Khan said. "Put him in a room with anyone, he's knocking them out, cleaning them out. He's very dangerous." Still, Khan questioned why a fight between Jones and Aspinall hasn't happened, reflecting the growing frustration among fans and fighters.
He's like the longest running heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only like he hasn't fought anyone. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. You know, I think Jon gets a lot of money being champion. I think the sponsors and that are paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, Jon's often struggled tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably, if he did fight him, he would.
Khan continued by emphasizing Jon Jones's intimidating presence and physical dominance, describing him as one guy you don't want to meet in a back street, no matter who you are, even if it's someone like Mike Tyson. Despite his deep respect for Jones's abilities in MMA, Khan firmly cautioned against any attempt to cross over into boxing, a sport where Jones has no proven track record. "He's not going to be the same animal in the boxing ring. He's going to make himself look stupid," Khan said. "I don't think he ever needs to do that because he's only going to mess his own legacy."
Saying that he is supporting the idea of Pierre versus Aspinall. We know Aspinall will do it. He already tried at 300. We know Pierre will do it. He's a chance to set history. Champ is not likely to ever happen to any of us again. There's a really big population that wants to see Jon Jones versus Pierre, and there's a really big population that would rather see Jon Jones versus Aspinall. The winner of Ankalaev Rachik is going to take on Pierre. Okay, whatever your level of excitement for that is going to be. Still does not equal how badly you would like to see Pierre take it on top.
While Amir Khan focused on Jon Jones's limitations in boxing, former UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards shared his perspective on Jones's legacy within MMA. Speaking to Carl Froch, Edwards expressed deep admiration for Jones and rejected any suggestion that he's avoiding a fight with Tom Aspinall. "I don't know. I feel like Jon Jones is the GOAT of mixed martial arts," Edwards said. "You can't argue it. He's been through generations of fighters, fought many generations," while acknowledging that some, including fellow fighters like Daniel Cormier, have accused Jones of quitting. Edwards disagreed with that narrative. He defended Jones's decision to step away from competition, saying, if he wants to bow out as world champion, he's done his part. So,
you have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. Greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself, throughout the whole of your career? Are you willing to fight the biggest challengers?
Edwards also weighed in on a hypothetical matchup between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. While he acknowledged that Aspinall has a bright future and doesn't need a fight with Jones to validate his career, he was clear about who he believes would win if both were in their prime. I'd go with Jon Jones for sure, Edwards said. Seratus%. I rate Jon Jones highly. I believe he's the best to ever do it. And Tom, he is the guy now. Edwards added that Aspinall's speed could pose challenges for Jones, especially given Jones's current age of 37, but emphasized that a prime Jones operated on an entirely different level. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel *** for more updates, breakdowns, and combat sports news. Thank you for the support.